Hebraisms in the Book of Mormon is truly one of the most enjoyable, exciting evidences for, at least, if nothing else, at least another cultural context that Joseph Smith himself did not possess or own.
So a Hebraism is a word that scholars use to describe a literary device or a linguistic element in the Book of Mormon that makes better sense in biblical Hebrew than it does in English. These, of course, are very exciting for us to discover because they provide evidence that, in fact, the Book of Mormon is a translated work, that it derives from a source that has connections with the ancient Near East, the world of the Bible.
There have been a great many Hebraisms found in the Book of Mormon. I'll point to one that happens to be one of my favorites, and that's what I call the if-and conditional sentence. In English, we never say, if you don't study hard and you will fail the test. If you go out on that ledge and you're going to fall off. We say if. Sometimes we say if then. If he doesn't come by 8 o'clock, then we'll know he's not coming at all. In biblical Hebrew, though, you often say if and. In the book of Genesis, I did a quick survey once, and I found 6 occurrences of the if and conditional sentence in the Hebrew of Genesis. It never shows up in English translations because it's bad English. In the original manuscript of the Book of Mormon, though, you get a cluster of if-and conditional sentences in Helaman, and you actually get it in the famous Promise of Moroni in Moroni 10, 4 and 5. It's eventually taken out by Joseph Smith, presumably, because he reads it and thinks, this is not English. It's like no English that any English speaker has ever spoken, as far as we can tell. What it may be is, in effect, a kind of contamination from the original language into the English translation. Anybody who's translated a lot knows that happens. You start getting into the rhythm and the sentence structure of the original language, and pretty soon your English begins to sound vaguely German, or it'll take on a Spanish hue or something like that, and you have to go through and clean it up. It just happens. It's the way it occurs, and so I think that's what you may be seeing there, is the effect of an underlying Hebrew text upon the language of the original manuscript of the Book of Mormon.
In biblical Hebrew, relationships between two nouns are often created through what we refer to as a construct state. So two nouns are placed together where a preposition of is technically not necessary, although it's there from a literal perspective. So expressions in the Book of Mormon such as plates of brass, which would normally appear in English as brass plates, or river of water, which would, of course, in English appear as typically as simply a river or something of this sort. Some of these literary devices are reflected in the translation of the Book of Mormon.